Every morning starts the same way. I wake up at 5:30, even though my alarm clock is set for 6. My old bones won't let me sleep any longer than that. 74 years old is no joke. While the kettle boils, I look out the window at the neighbor's yard. Tibby Norris has forgotten to put away her garden shears again, and they're still lying in the bed of asters. Old lady sclerosis. What can you do? My house is the last one on Oak Street. Small, with peeling paint on the porch and creaky floorboards, but it's my own. Paid the mortgage for 23 years. Sometimes it feels like the house is the only living thing I care about. It creaks and groans at night, like it's talking to me. Or maybe it's my joints. You never know. Tea, peanut butter toast, blood pressure pills. The morning ritual has been the same for years. After breakfast, I put on an old flannel shirt and go out to get the mail, promotional pamphlets, an electric bill, and a catalog of senior products. Wonderful adult diapers and walkers at a 15% discount. Ugh, throwing it all in the recycling garbage can. 36 years of delivering people's mail, and now I don't get anything important myself. It's ironic. Mail was my life. Irwin Hathaway, letter carrier for the 84th precinct of Henlopen Acres, knew every house, every mailbox, every dog on his route, letters, postcards, parcels, happy news and sad news, birth certificates and death certificates. Everything passed through my hands. When I retired 10 years ago, it was like I lost a part of myself. On the living room wall, Miriam and I have a wedding picture. June, 1971. She's in a simple white dress. I'm in a rented suit. Miriam's eyes light up as if she'd won the lottery instead of marrying a penniless mailman. Who knew that 26 years later cancer would take her, leaving me alone with an 18-year-old daughter, Siblin? My heart sinks at the thought of my daughter. The last time I saw her was 2 years ago at the funeral of George Pickwick, my former boss. She was standing at the other end of the hall with her husband, Willem Fletch. When I tried to approach, she took her husband under her arm and quickly walked out. It was like I was a leper. The phone in the kitchen rang, interrupting my unhappy thoughts. Tibby. Who else? Irwin, darling, have you had breakfast yet? I have fresh blueberry muffins. Tibby's voice sounded cheerful despite her 81 years. Already ate. Thank you, I reply, cradling the tube with my shoulder as I wash my cup. Come by just for fun, then. There's something I need to tell you. Tibby's voice takes on a conspiratorial note. She's the only person in town who's still talking to me, the only one who knows the truth. 10 minutes later, I'm sitting at her kitchen table covered in floral oilcloth. The cupcakes are really good, even though I said I wasn't hungry. You know what I heard at the grocery store yesterday? Tibby leans toward me, lowering her voice even though there's no one else in the house besides the two of us and her cat Alfred. It's your sibling's anniversary, 25 years of marriage to that busboy. To Willem, I automatically correct. Yeah, him. Anyway, they're having a big party this Saturday at the community center. The whole town's invited. The whole town except for me. Not that I'm surprised. 28 years, I'm used to being persona non grata in my own daughter's life. How did you find out? I ask, shaking the crumbs off my shirt. Mabel Danvers works at a print shop. They print invitations. Showed me one. Tibby digs into his apron pocket and pulls out a folded card with silver rings. Willem and Siblin Fletch invite you to celebrate 25 years of happy marriage. Her heart clenches. 25 years. And it seems like just yesterday I was walking my daughter down the aisle, replacing her father in the wedding ceremony. Whoa, something's wrong here. Tibby, it says here, invited to celebrate 25 years of happy marriage. So? Tibby looks at me incomprehensively, pouring tea into my cup. I was at their wedding. I walked Siblin down the aisle. Tibby freezes with the teapot in her hand. Her eyebrows creep upward in surprise. What are you talking about, Irwin? Siblin tells everyone that she grew up in an orphanage, that after Miriam died, you gave her up there because you couldn't or wouldn't take care of her yourself. The cup trembles in my hands. The blood rushes to my face. It's a lie. My voice breaks. I never. How could she? Tibby puts her wrinkled hand on mine. I know, darling. I remember how you raised her alone, working at the post office by day and the supermarket at night, denying yourself everything to send her to college. Bitterness rises to my throat. I remember sleeping 4 hours a night after Miriam died, torn between 2 jobs, how I counted every dime, how I sold our car to pay for Siblin's first semester of college, walking in all kinds of weather because there was no money for the bus. Why would you lie to her? I ask, more to myself than Tibby. People often rewrite their past, Irwin, especially if the present doesn't live up to their expectations. Siblin's present is far from brilliant. Despite college, she works as a cashier at a supermarket. Willem is a bus driver. Their children, my grandchildren, Rhoda and Jasper, are nice guys, but I barely know them. Seen them a few times when I happen to run into them around town. I'll call her, I say, getting up from the table. Tibby shakes his head. I don't think that's a good idea, but you're a stubborn old man. Do as you please. At home, I stare at my phone for a long time, gathering my wits. Siblin's number is on speed dial 1. I've never changed it, even though she hasn't returned my calls in years. I press the button and listen to the dial tone. 1, 2, 3. Yes? My daughter's cold voice sounds tired and irritated. Siblin, it's Daddy. Silence at the other end. Then, what do you want? I found out about your anniversary. 25 years is a serious date. I wanted to... Who told you? She interrupts. Oh, that old gossip Tibby of yours, I suppose. I wanted to congratulate you and Willem, I continue, ignoring her tone. Maybe I could come to the party, see the grandkids. No. One word is like a punch in the gut. Siblin, please. I'm your father. Father? Her voice is getting higher. Fathers don't abandon their children in orphanages. Fathers take care of their daughters when their mother dies. You're not my father, Irwin. You're just an old man who happens to be genetically related to me. My heart is pounding so hard I think it's going to jump out of my chest. I never put you in an orphanage. I raised you on my own. I worked 2 jobs to don't call me again. It's a short beep. I sit clutching the receiver until an automated voice tells me to hang up. My hands are shaking. There's a lump in my throat. I go to the bedroom and pull an old shoebox from under the bed. Inside is evidence of my life with Siblin, her first drawing, report cards, the note she left me on my 14th birthday. You're the best daddy ever. High school graduation pictures of her standing next to me, smiling for the camera, from college admissions, from the wedding where I'm walking her down the aisle, replacing her father, replacing Dad. That's it. She's ashamed of me, just a mailman with no education. Ashamed of our small house, our financial difficulties. She wanted a different story. A story where she's a heroine who overcame a difficult childhood in an orphanage. A story where she made it against the odds. A story where there's no room for gratitude to a father who denied himself everything for her. I'm looking at a wedding photo. Siblin in the white dress we bought at a thrift store and had altered with Tibby's help. I'm in the only decent suit I bought on sale. Willem beside her, young with thick dark hair. And me, walking my daughter down the aisle because her father is me, damn it. Something breaks inside. Something I've been holding back for years. I roll up the picture and tuck it into my shirt pocket. Then I pull my weekend suit out of the closet, the same one, my wedding suit, and shake it out. It's a little out of fashion, but it's still pretty decent. No more. Stop letting her rewrite history. No more being invisible in my own family. If the mountain doesn't go to Muhammad, Muhammad goes to the mountain. I'm going to show up at this party whether I'm invited or not, And if Siblin wants to tell stories about her childhood in the orphanage, she'll have to do it by looking me in the eye. The decision has been made. I'm going to my daughter's anniversary party on Saturday. Uninvited guest. That evening, I call Tibby. You were right, I say when she picks up the phone. Calling her was a bad idea. What did she say? Tibby's voice is sympathetic. That I'm not her father. That real fathers don't leave their kids in foster homes. Tibby sighs. Erwin, you know that's not true. I know it's not true. Half the town, the older ones, know it's not true. But the young people, they believe it. To them, you're a monster who abandoned a child. I'm going to this party, I say firmly. No more hiding. No more letting her lie about my life, about what I've done for her. Oh, Erwin. Tibby is visibly disturbed. Are you sure? The whole town's going to be there. This could end very ugly. I'm 74 years old, Tibby. How long do I have left? 5 years? 10, if I'm lucky? I don't want to die knowing that my daughter is telling everyone I abandoned her. It's just not fair. My voice is breaking. Damn it. I haven't cried since Miriam's funeral, and now I'm ready to cry like a baby. I understand, Tibby says softly. I'll support you in whatever you decide, but be prepared that it won't change the way she feels about you. It might even do the opposite. I don't care. I just want the truth to be known. After I talk to Tibby, I sit on the porch for a long time watching the sunset. Everyone knows everyone in our small town. Everyone has heard the story of poor Siblin, abandoned by her abusive father. How many sympathetic looks have I caught over the years? How many whispers behind my back? There he is, the same Hathaway who surrendered his daughter to the orphanage. And I kept quiet. I swallowed my resentment. I thought one day Siblin would come to his senses, tell the truth. But as the years went by, the lies just kept getting stronger. And now this party, 25 years of marriage, a big event where toasts and speeches are sure to be made, where she'll probably tell her made-up story about her difficult childhood again. Not this time. At night, I dream about Miriam. She sits in our kitchen as young and beautiful as the day we met. You have to do this, Erwin, she says, looking at me with her clear blue eyes, for my sake, for the truth. In the morning, I wake up with determination in my heart. Saturday is 4 days away. I prepare as if for a battle. I get out and clean my weekend suit. I shine my old but still sturdy shoes. I look through the box of photos, picking out the ones that disprove Siblin's lies. Here she is at 3 years old on my shoulders. Here we are baking a cake together for her 10th birthday. Here I am taking her to her high school prom. Friday I go to the only jewelry store in Henlopen Acres and buy a silver photo heart on a chain. Spend almost half of my monthly pension, but it's worth it. I put a little picture of the three of us inside. Me, Miriam, and little Siblin. A happy family. A truth my daughter is trying to bury. The night before the party, I hardly sleep at all. I toss and turn in bed, running through possible scenarios in my head. What will I say? How will Siblin react? Will people believe me, or will they think I'm a senile old man out of my mind? It doesn't matter. Even if I get laughed at, I have to try. Saturday morning greets me with rain, symbolic. I eat breakfast, take a shower, shave extra carefully. I put on my suit, old-fashioned but neat. I pin a small postage stamp to my lapel, my mascot from work. I pocket a heart pendant wrapped in gift paper. Let it be my last gift to my daughter, whether she accepts it or not. Before going out, I look at myself in the mirror. A gray-haired old man with a wrinkled face and a stubborn look stares back at me. I straighten my back, squaring my shoulders. It's time. Tibby is waiting for me at her gate, dressed up in a blue dress and a string of fake pearls around her neck. Are you sure? She asks, though she knows the answer. Absolutely, I reply, and offer her my hand. We walk toward the community center, toward the truth. toward my daughter, who has been pretending to be an orphan for 28 years. The community center is 8 blocks from my house. When I was young, I would have covered that distance in 15 minutes, but now my old legs take almost twice as long. Tibby walks beside me, leaning on his cane and stopping occasionally to catch his breath. Maybe we should call a cab, I suggest, when she stops once again with her hand against her chest. No, she replies with the stubbornness that only old people have. If you're walking to this party, so am I. Moral support, you know. I'm smiling. Tibby had always been like that, inflexible when it came to principles. She knew Miriam before we were married, was a witness at our humble nuptials. She saw how I raised Siblin alone, how I worked my ass off to make sure my daughter never needed anything. Tibby knows the truth and is ready to confirm it. We passed the city park where I once took little Siblin on the merry-go-round. Every Sunday, when there were no mail shifts, we used to come here. Ice cream, the carousel, feeding the ducks in the pond, little joys I could afford. Siblin would laugh as the horse on the carousel went up the hill and shout, "Daddy, look, I'm flying!" Where is that happy little girl now? What are you thinking about? Tibby asks, noticing that I've slowed down. About the past, I answer. I wonder when it all went wrong. When did Siblin go from being a loving daughter to what she is now? Tibby sighs. Who knows, Irwin? Maybe when she met Willem. Maybe when she moved into the big house on Elm Street. Maybe when she started hanging out with the wives of lawyers and doctors from the Rotary Club. It's common for people to be ashamed of their roots if they don't seem shiny enough. I nod. Yes, perhaps that's exactly the point. In a small town like Henlopen Acres, social circles are very important. Being the daughter of a simple letter carrier isn't the most prestigious background. The story of an orphan making her way in the world is more comfortable. We approach the community center. The building is decorated with silver balloons and ribbons. At the entrance is a large banner that reads, 25 years together, Willem and Siblin Fletch. Next to the poster is their wedding photo, with me cut off at the edge, barely visible. What a bastard, Tibby mutters. She even cropped you out of the picture. I swallow the lump in my throat and adjust my tie. My heart is pounding like crazy. Maybe this is a bad idea after all. Maybe I should turn around before it's too late. Mr. Hathaway? A voice behind me makes me flinch. I turn around. Standing in front of me is a young woman with short red hair and freckles on her nose. Something familiar flickers across her features. Something from Miriam. Rhoda? I ask uncertainly, though I already know the answer. My granddaughter. The last time I saw her was 3 years ago, bumping into her at the supermarket. She was an awkward teenager then. Now there's a young woman standing in front of me. It's you. She smiles, and the corners of her eyes crinkle, just like Miriam's. That's what I thought when I saw you from the window. What are you doing here? I start, but Tibby interrupts me. We came to wish your mom and dad a happy anniversary, honey, she says with an innocent smile. 25 years of marriage is a major milestone. Rhoda glances from me to Tibby and back again. Something like embarrassment flashes in her eyes. But Mommy said, she stammered and blushed. I mean, I didn't think you'd come. You don't usually come to our family events. I don't because I'm not invited, I say bluntly. But today, I thought I'd make an exception. Rhoda bites her lip, just like Siblin did when she was her age, when she didn't know what to say. Grandfather, I'm not sure it's a good idea, she says at last. Mother will be upset. Grandpa. She called me Grandpa. How many years have I waited to hear that word? My heart clenches. Rhoda, honey, I say, trying to keep my voice steady. I know your mother has told you about me. I know you probably think I'm a horrible person who abandoned her at the orphanage, but that's not true. I never abandoned Sibling. I raised her alone after your grandmother died, worked 2 jobs so she could go to college. Rhoda looks at me with her eyes wide open. There's uncertainty in them and something else. Doubt? But why would Mom lie about something like that? She asks quietly. I wish I knew that too, I sigh. Maybe she's ashamed of her origins. Maybe she likes being the center of attention as the heroine of a sad story. I don't know, but I'm here to restore the truth. Tibby puts her wrinkled hand on Rhoda's shoulder. I've known your mom since I was a little girl, honey. I was a friend of your grandmother Miriam. I can attest to every word your grandfather said. Siblin was never in an orphanage. She grew up in Irwin's house on Oak Street. Rhoda is silent, thinking about what he's heard, then nods, as if making a decision. Come in through the side door, she says. I'll show you in so your mother won't see you right away. At least let her make her welcome speech first. I look at my granddaughter with gratitude. She risks incurring her mother's wrath by helping me. Thank you, Rhoda. Don't thank me before my time, she replies, glancing around nervously. And please promise me you won't make a scene. At least hear her side of the story first. I promise, I say, though I'm not sure I'll be able to keep that promise if I hear Siblin repeating her lies again. Rhoda leads us around the building to an unremarkable side door. Inside, it smells of fresh paint and flowers. We walk down a narrow hallway and find ourselves in a small room filled with chairs and extra tables. Wait here, Rhoda says. I'll check on things and come back for you. She disappears, leaving Tibby and me in the makeshift pantry. I sit down in the chair, feeling my knees shake. What will I tell Siblin when I see her? What will I tell the guests? I have a gift in my pocket, a silver heart with our family photo inside. Will she accept it, or will she throw it in my face? Nervous? Tibby asks, settling in next to me. Like a schoolboy on a first date, I confess. It's going to be okay, Irwin. The truth is on your side. 10 minutes pass before the door opens again. Rhoda looks excited. Everything is ready, she says. The guests are gathered in the great hall. Mom and Dad haven't started their speeches yet. I'll escort you to a table in the corner where you can see the stage clearly, but you won't be noticed right away. We follow her like two conspirators. In the large auditorium of the community center, it seems like half the town has gathered. The tables are decorated with silver tablecloths and floral arrangements. On the stage is a large screen showing a slideshow of photos of Siblin and Willem. I stare at them, looking for one with me in it. In vain. Rhoda seats us at a table in the far corner, partially hidden by a column. I have to go, she says. I need to be near my parents, but I'll be back as soon as I can. She leaves and I look around. Most of the guests are unfamiliar to me, young people who have moved to Henlopen Acres in recent years. But I see old acquaintances. Frank Doolittle, a former colleague from the post office, Mabel Danvers from the print shop, the Jenkinses to whom I delivered mail for 30 years. Look at that, Tibby whispers, pointing to the wall behind the stage. There's a big poster that says, "Help the Children of Sunnyside," with a picture of the orphanage. Under the poster is a transparent box for donations, already half filled with bills and checks. Sunny Beach, I ask, perplexed. What Sunnyside? The orphanage in Wilmington, Tibby replies. Apparently, Siblin is raising money for them. Apparently it's the same orphanage where she supposedly grew up. I'm filled with anger. Not only is my daughter lying about her childhood, she's making a charity project out of it. She's using a made-up story to gain sympathy and raise money. Irwin, Tibby squeezes my hand. Take it easy. Remember, you promised Rhoda not to make a scene. I take a deep breath. Yes, I did. But how can I keep it together, seeing all this? A young man comes up on stage, my grandson Jasper, whom I've only seen a couple times in my life. Tall, broad-shouldered, with Willem's dark hair. Ladies and gentlemen, he says into the microphone, thank you all for coming today to share this special day with us. 25 years ago, my parents, Willem and Sibylle Fletch tied their fates together, and today we celebrate a quarter-century of their love and devotion to each other. Please give a big round of applause for those celebrating. To a round of applause, Sibylle and Willem take the stage. My daughter looks elegant in her silver dress, though the years have not spared her. At 46, she looks older than her years' wrinkles around her eyes and mouth, a hard crease between her eyebrows. Willem is beside her, a heavy-set man with thinning hair and a good-natured face. "Thank you all for coming," Sibylle says into the microphone. "For us, this is not just a wedding anniversary. It's a celebration of love, family, and resilience in the face of hardship." She takes Willem's hand and smiles at him. 25 years ago, this amazing man saved me, not only from loneliness, but from insecurity, from the fear that I wasn't worthy of love. Willem smiles embarrassedly. I can see that he genuinely loves my daughter. I wonder if he knows the truth. Does he believe her made-up story? "As many of you know," Sibylle continues, and my heart sinks with anticipation, "my story is a little different from the usual. I didn't grow up in a traditional family. After my mother died when I was 18, my father—" She pauses, and I see a look of sadness appear on her face, so contrived that you can believe it's sincere. "My father decided he couldn't take care of me. He sent me to the Sunnyside Children's Home in Wilmington." A sympathetic whisper passes through the room. I feel the blood rush to my face. Lies. A shameless lie. "Those were hard years," Sibylle continues, and her voice trembles. "But they taught me the value of real family, real love. And when I met Willem, I finally understood what home was." Tibby squeezes my hand so tight it almost hurts. I see the sympathy on the faces of the guests, see some of the women wiping away tears. "In honor of our anniversary," Sibylle continues, "we decided to help children in the same situation as I once was. The Sunny Beach Children's Home is still operating, and there are still children there who need support. In lieu of gifts, we are asking you to make donations. Help those who, like I once did, need hope." The guests applaud. Many get up from their seats and walk over to the donation box, dropping money into it. "She's got a good thing going," Tibby whispers. "She's using a made-up story about being an orphan to make herself look noble. Raises money for charity, making herself look like a heroine." I nod, unable to speak. My throat tightens with resentment and anger. How can she do this? How can she stand there and lie to all those people, lying about my life, about my sacrifices? "And now," Sibylle says, "I would like to especially thank the man who has been by my side all these years, who has become a true father to me, my father-in-law, Harold Fletch." An elderly man with a cane comes up on stage, Willem's father. Sibylle hugs him, and they pose for pictures together. "Harold has always treated me like his own daughter," says Sibylle, and her voice trembles with emotion. "He showed me what a real father should be like, caring, supportive, loving. This is the last straw." I rise from my seat, ignoring Tibby's warning look. With trembling hands, I pull a gift out of my pocket, a silver heart with our family photo inside. I clutch it so tightly that it sinks into my palm. "Erwin, don't," Tibby whispers, trying to hold my sleeve. "Wait until she's done." But I don't listen. The anger and resentment that have been building up for years finally bursts out. I walk across the hall toward the stage, feeling the surprised looks of the guests. Some of the old-timers recognize me and begin to whisper. Rhoda notices me first. She stands next to the stage and looks at me with wide-open eyes. I can see the fear on her face, but I don't stop. Finally, Sibylle notices movement in the audience and turns around. Our gazes meet. I see the smile freeze on her face, her eyes widen with shock and fear. "Daddy?" She breathes into the microphone, and the word echoes through the hushed hall. The silence in the hall is deafening. Hundreds of eyes are on me, but all I can see is Siblin's face. It's a mixture of shock, fear, and anger? Yes, definitely anger. Her lips are pressed into a thin line, her nostrils flared. I've known that expression since she was a child. It's how she used to look when I caught her playing pranks. Only now the prank has grown to the scale of a monstrous lie stretching back 28 years. "Daddy," she said again, quieter and with more pressure, trying to pull herself together. What a surprise. The microphone is still on, and her words echo through the room. The guests look at each other, whispering in bewilderment. There is confusion in their eyes. Just now, Siblin has been talking about the orphanage, about how her father abandoned her. And now this same father is standing in front of her, and she calls him Daddy. "How did you end up here?" Siblin asks, trying to speak casually as if my appearance were nothing more than an inconvenience. "We didn't send out invitations to your side of town." "I came to congratulate you," I reply, trying to keep my voice from shaking. 25 years of marriage is a serious date. I can see Willem tense beside her. He glances back and forth between me and Siblin, clearly not sure what's going on. I wonder what she's been telling him all these years. Does he know the truth, or does he believe the story about the orphanage too? "Now is not a good time," Siblin says, making a sign to someone in the crowd. "Maybe you could come some other time." Her voice sounds strained, but she struggles to keep a smile on her face. Typical Siblin, always concerned with how she looks in the eyes of others. A large man in a gray suit approaches the stage, a security guard or steward. I realize I don't have much time. "I brought you a present," I say, pulling a silver heart from my pocket. "A memento of our family, a real family." I step up on stage, overcoming the pain in my knees. Siblin takes a step back, like she's afraid I'll hit her. It's painful to see. Does she really think I'm capable of hurting her? "Here." I hand her a heart on a chain. Inside is a picture of us. You, me, and Mom, before she got sick. Siblin doesn't take the gift. Her eyes grow cold and empty. "It's a nice family heirloom," she says with contrived politeness. "Thanks for stopping by, but we have a program tonight, and—" "A program where you tell these people you grew up in an orphanage?" My voice is louder than I intended. "A program built on lies about your childhood? About my life?" I can see Rhoda flinching down by the stage. I promised I wouldn't make a scene. But how can I help it? Siblin turns pale, but quickly pulls himself together. "I think my father is not well," she says into the microphone with a strained smile. "Age, you know. Jasper, would you please escort Grandpa?" "I don't need an escort," I interrupt, taking another step toward her. "I want the truth. I want you to stop lying about your childhood. Stop telling everyone that I abandoned you at the orphanage. The room gets so quiet, you can hear a fly hitting the glass of the window. All eyes are fixed on us, on the father and daughter, on the unfolding family drama that has suddenly become public." "Dad," Siblin says through gritted teeth, "you're embarrassing me." I'm embarrassing you?" My laughter sounds bitter. "Have you ever wondered what it's been like for me all these years to hear whispers behind my back? To see people look away when I walk by? To know that my own daughter was spreading monstrous lies about me?" Siblin turns off the microphone and comes close to me. Her eyes narrow. "What do you want?" she hisses. "Money? You've already spent your pension and you come begging for it?" Her words hurt more than I expected. Does she think I'm only interested in money? "I want the truth," I answer, trying to keep my voice low even though I'm seething inside. "I want you to tell these people that you were never in an orphanage, that I raised you alone after your mom died, that I worked 2 jobs so you could finish college." Siblin steps back and turns the microphone back on. "Dear guests," she says with an apologetic smile, "I'm so sorry for this misunderstanding. My father has not been quite well lately. Age, you know. Willem dear, Perhaps you will walk my father home." Willem, who has been standing there with a perplexed expression all this time, nods and walks over to me. There's sympathy in his eyes, but not for me, but for Siblin. He believes her, I realize, believes the story about the orphanage. "Come on, Mr. Hathaway," he says softly, taking me under the elbow. "Let's not ruin the party." I pull my arm out. "No, I'm not going anywhere until I say what I came to say." I turn to Siblin. "You want me to leave? Fine. But first I have to tell the truth you've been hiding for 28 years. And before anyone can stop me, I grab the microphone out of Siblin's hands. "Good afternoon," I say, and my voice, amplified by the microphone, sounds more confident than I expected. "My name is Erwin Hathaway. I'm Siblin's father, her real father, and I never sent her to an orphanage." A wave of whispers passes through the room. I see some of the guests shake their heads incredulously. Others look on with interest. Tibby nods encouragingly at me from his corner. "After my wife Miriam, Siblin's mom, died, I raised my daughter alone," I continue, feeling my knees shake. "She was 18 when Mom died. Not 5 or 6 like she told you. 18. She was already graduating from high school." Siblin makes a movement to take the microphone from me, but Rhoda, suddenly on stage, stops her. "Let him talk, Mom," she says quietly, but in the silence of the hall her words are heard by many. "I want to know the truth." Siblin freezes, stunned by her daughter's betrayal. I take this moment to continue. "I was a mailman. Not the most prestigious job, I know, but I was proud of it. Delivered letters and packages to you for 36 years. Many of you remember me." I see nods among the older guests. Frank Doolittle, a former colleague of mine, even raises his hand in greeting. "After Miriam died, I was left alone with a teenage daughter. Siblin wanted to go to college, and I did everything I could to make sure she could. Took a second job as a supermarket clerk. Worked nights, slept 4 hours a day. Sold our car to pay for my first semester. Walked in all kinds of weather because there was no money for the bus." My voice starts to shake, but I pull myself together. This is no time for weakness. "I never put Siblin in an orphanage. Never left her behind. All those stories she's been telling you for years are lies. Lies made up to, I don't even know why. Maybe to make herself more interesting. Maybe to get sympathy. Maybe because she's ashamed of her origins, of her father being a simple letter carrier." Siblin stands with her hands over her face. Willem looks lost beside her, not knowing who to believe. I pull the photos out of my inside jacket pocket. I have proof. Here's Siblin at her high school graduation. Here we are celebrating her college graduation together. And here I am walking her down the aisle at her wedding to Willem. How could I do that if I abandoned her as a child? Rhoda walks over and picks up the pictures, looks at them wide-eyed, then hands them to Jasper, who has also come up on stage. "Is this true, Mother?" Rhoda asks, and her voice trembles. "Did you make it all up? About the orphanage? About Grandpa leaving you?" Siblin doesn't answer. Her shoulders are shaking, but I can't tell if it's from sobs or rage. "Dear guests," I continue, addressing the room, "I didn't come here to ruin the party. I have come to restore the truth. All these years I've kept silent, swallowing my resentment, hoping Siblin would come to her senses. But when I found out she'd turned her lies into a charity campaign, raising money based on a made-up story, that was the last straw." I look at the donation box, already filled with money from gullible guests. I'm not against helping orphanages. It's a noble cause. But there's no need to base that help on lies. You don't have to make up stories about an abusive father to gain sympathy and raise more money. Suddenly, Tibby steps forward. Despite her age, she stands up straight and speaks loudly. I can confirm every word Erwin said. I was a friend of his wife Miriam. I saw how he raised Siblin alone, how he worked his ass off to give her an education. Siblin had never been in an orphanage. Never. There's an uproar in the hall. People look around, whispering. Some of the older guests nod, confirming Tibby's words. Others look at Siblin with bewilderment and disappointment. I return the microphone to the counter and turn to my daughter. I've said what I wanted to say. The rest is up to you. You can continue your lies or you can finally admit the truth. It's up to you. And then Siblin suddenly lunges forward, grabs the microphone and screams, "It's all wrong! He's lying! He left me when I was 18. Yes, at that age. He left me when my mother died. I was left alone with no money, no support. I had to live in a social center for young people. It's just like an orphanage, but for teenagers." Her voice breaks into a shriek. I see Willem flinch and I see Rhoda wince. Jasper looks at his mother in disbelief. "I worked as a dishwasher to pay for college," Siblin continues, her eyes glittering feverishly. "That man never helped me. He just showed up at my wedding, uninvited, and had the nerve to pretend to be a caring father. And now he's come here to ruin it all again." She turns to me, and in her eyes I don't just see anger, I see hatred. "What do you want?" she screams. "What do you want? Do you want to ruin my life, my reputation, my family?" "I want the truth," I answer quietly but firmly. "Just the truth, Siblin." Suddenly, Willem takes the microphone from his wife's hands. "I think," he says slowly, looking at me and Siblin, "I think we all need to calm down a little. This is a family matter, and maybe we shouldn't discuss it in front of all the guests." He turned to the audience. "Friends, let's take a short break. Help yourselves to appetizers, drinks. We'll be right back." The guests reluctantly leave but remain in the room, casting curious glances at the stage. Willem approaches me. "Mr. Hathaway," he says quietly, "I don't know who to believe, but I do know one thing. Siblin is my wife, and I love her. If you really are her father, if you really care about her, let's not make a circus in front of the whole town." I nod. Willem's right. As angry as I am at Siblin, she's still my daughter, and making her look like a liar in front of all the guests might not be the best way to restore the truth. "All right," I say. "Let's talk in private." Willem leads us backstage, me, Siblin, Rhoda, and Jasper. Tibby comes with us too, supported by Rhoda under her arm. In the small room backstage, Siblin immediately lashes out at me. "How dare you? How dare you come here and accuse me of lying? You, who abandoned me when I needed support the most." "Siblin," my voice sounds tired, "you know that's not true. I never abandoned you. I raised you on my own, worked 2 jobs so you could go to college." "Lies! It's all lies!" She's screaming, but I can hear the desperation in her voice. She's cornered and we both know it. "Then how did I get these pictures?" I ask. "Where did the notes you wrote to me come from? Your report cards? Your college receipts?" Rhoda holds up the pictures, looking at them with increasing interest. "Mom," she says quietly, "in this picture, Grandpa is walking you down the aisle. How is that possible if he abandoned you when you were a teenager?" Siblin snatches the pictures out of her daughter's hands. "They're fakes. He's manipulating you. Wants to make you think he was a good father, when really..." "Actually, what, Siblin?" Tibby asks, stepping closer. "Did he actually work himself to exhaustion to give you everything you wanted? Did he really deny himself everything just so you could go to a good college? Was he really proud of you even though you turned your back on him as soon as you met Willem and his well-to-do family?" Siblin pales under the hail of questions. "You don't know anything, old woman," she snapped. "You've always been on his side." "I'm on the side of the truth," Tibby replies calmly. "And the truth is that you made up the story about the orphanage to make yourself seem more interesting, more worthy of sympathy, to hide your humble origins from your new friends. And then the lie grew, and you couldn't let it go." Willem shifts his gaze from Siblin to me and back again. "Siblin," he says quietly, "is it true?" Did you made all this up? Siblin doesn't answer. Her lips tremble, her eyes fill with tears. For the first time all evening, she looks not angry but frightened, like a child caught in a lie. You don't understand, she says finally, turning to Willem. When we met, your parents were so rich, so respected, and I was just a mailman's daughter from a poor neighborhood. I was afraid you wouldn't want to go out with me if you knew the truth. Willem looks stunned. Did you think I was that shallow? That I cared more about your father's status than I cared about yourself? It was a long time ago. Siblin wipes away her tears. And then the lies just grew. I couldn't stop. Everyone already knew the story. I became, famous because of it. People sympathized with me, admired my resilience. How could I admit that I made it up? I look at my daughter with a mixture of bitterness and compassion. All these years, she's been living a lie. She's created a whole world around her based on fiction. And now that world is crumbling before her eyes. You could have just told the truth, I say quietly. The truth about how I raised you alone, how I worked my ass off to give you a decent future. Isn't that a story of overcoming? Isn't that worthy of respect? Siblin shakes his head. You don't understand. Being an orphan growing up in an orphanage is tragic. It evokes sympathy. And being a letter carrier's daughter growing up in a small house on the outskirts is just ordinary. Ordinary. Nobody's interested. I am interested, Rhoda says, approaching her mother. I want to know the truth about my family, about my grandfather, about where I come from. Jasper nods, agreeing with his sister. And me. Mom, why didn't you ever tell us Grandpa was alive? That he was here in Henlopen Acres? We could have known him all these years. Siblin looks at her children with an expression I cannot unravel. Fear? Shame? Regret? I didn't know how to explain, she says. How to say I lied about my past. About your grandfather. Just to tell the truth, Rhoda replies. Just to admit that she was wrong. Siblin turns to me and I can see the desperation in her eyes. What do you want me to do? She asks. Go on stage now and tell everyone that I've been lying for years, that I made up the story about the orphanage, that I used those lies to collect donations. You want me to ruin my life, my reputation. I want you to tell the truth, I answer. Just once in your life, if only for the sake of your children. We look at each other for a long moment. In her eyes I see the little girl I once rocked on my lap. The little girl who laughed when I tossed her up, who cried when her mommy died, who I comforted with the promise that everything would be okay, that I would always be there for her. A promise I kept. And she didn't. Willem walks over to Siblin and takes her hand. Darling, he says quietly, maybe it's time. Time for the truth. Siblin closes her eyes and tears run down her cheeks. Then she squares her shoulders and nods. Good, she says. Good. I'll tell them the truth. We walk back into the hall and time seems to slow down. The guests whisper, silent as we pass. There's curiosity in their eyes, bewilderment, and in some of them, judgment. I'm not sure if it's directed at me or at Siblin, probably at both of us for making a scene at the feast. Siblin walks ahead, head held high. Her back is straight, her shoulders squared. Despite the tears streaming down her cheeks, she maintains her dignity. I must admit, that's something my daughter has always been good at, keeping a straight face even in the most difficult situations. Willem follows her, his hand on her lower back, a gesture of support, a silent promise to be there for her no matter what happens. Rhoda and Jasper walk at their parents' sides, confused but determined. Tibby leans on my arm, her fingers gripping my elbow with an unexpected strength for her age. Siblin steps up on stage and takes the microphone. For a moment I think she's changed her mind, that she's about to accuse me of dementia, of senile marasmus, of maliciously trying to ruin her party. I'm preparing for the worst. Dear friends, she begins, and her voice, amplified by the microphone, sounds unexpectedly firm. I owe you an apology, and I have a confession to make. She pauses, inhaling deeply, as if about to dive into cold water. The story I've been telling you all these years, the story of my childhood in the orphanage. It's not true. A wave of whispers passes through the room. Some gasp, others shake their heads incredulously. The truth is, Siblin continues, and her voice begins to tremble, that after my mother died, I was raised by my father, alone. Irwin Hathaway, the man you just saw on that stage. She points at me and all eyes turn in my direction. I stand dumbfounded, unable to believe my ears. Is she really confessing? Is she really telling the truth? He never put me in an orphanage, Siblin says, tears streaming down her face. He worked 2 jobs so I could go to college, denied himself everything so I wouldn't need anything. He was a good father. She struggles with the last words. She speaks them almost in a whisper, but in the silence of the room, they come out clearly. Next to me, Tibby grips my hand tighter. This is it, she whispers. Finally. Siblin wipes away her tears and straightens up. I lied because I was ashamed of our little house on the outskirts, that my father is a simple letter carrier with no education, for our financial difficulties. When I met Willem's family, so respectable, so well-to-do, I made up another story, a story that seemed more worthy of sympathy and respect. Willem walks over to her and puts his arm around her shoulders. His face is grim, but there is sadness in his eyes, not anger. He is clearly shaken by his wife's confession, but he does not leave her alone at this difficult moment. I never thought the lie would go this far, Siblin continues. At first it was just a fiction for a new circle of acquaintances. Then it became part of my identity, my story. I repeated it so often that I almost started to believe it myself. And then it was too late to admit it. She lowers her head, unable to look her guests in the eye. I apologize to you for deceiving you, for manipulating your feelings, especially for using these lies to collect donations. The money you gave so generously today will indeed go to the Sunnyside Orphanage. It is a real institution, and there are indeed children there who need help. But my claim that I grew up there is a lie, and I deeply regret it. The hall falls into silence. No one knows how to respond. Some guests look shocked, others angry. I see Mabel Danvers, the local gossip girl, already leaning over to her neighbor, whispering something in her ear, no doubt spreading the news. And also, Siblin's voice grows quieter, I want to apologize to my father for all the years of lies, for turning my back on him when he needed a family the most, for denying him the chance to know his grandchildren. She turns to me, and our gazes meet across the room. I'm sorry, Daddy, she says, and those words, spoken publicly in front of the whole town, are worth more than any private apology. I can't speak. My throat is tight with emotion. I just nod, letting her know I heard her, that I recognize her confession, her remorse, though forgiveness is another matter entirely. Suddenly, an older woman emerges from the crowd of guests, Eleanor Pritchett, widow of the former mayor. So you've been lying to us all these years, Siblin? Her voice trembles with indignation. We've sympathized with you, supported you. The Rotary Club even set up a scholarship in your name for graduates of orphanages. And you just made up that whole story. Siblin turns pale but doesn't look away. Yes, Mrs. Pritchett, and I deeply regret it. Regret is not enough, Eleanor exclaims. You have deceived the whole town. You took advantage of our sympathy, our good intentions. How could you? Several guests support her with shouts of agreement. The atmosphere in the hall heats up. I see Rhoda and Jasper stand closer to their mother, ready to defend her from verbal attacks. "I understand your outrage," Siblin says, her voice shaking. "You have every right to be angry with me. I can only repeat that I am deeply remorseful and willing to do whatever it takes to make things right." "How will you make it right?" asks someone from the back row. "How will you give us back years of sympathy you didn't deserve?" Siblin looks lost. She is not prepared for this reaction, this anger. Perhaps she was hoping for understanding, for forgiveness. But the reality is harsher. Suddenly, Willem steps forward. His face is serious but determined. "Friends," he says loudly without a microphone, but his voice is still audible. "I understand your disappointment. Believe me, this is as much a shock to me as it is to you. I, too, believe Siblin's story about the orphanage all those years ago." He pauses, looking around the room. "But I ask you to remember that we all make mistakes. We all tell untruths sometimes, out of fear, out of shame, out of a desire to appear better than we are. The only difference is the magnitude of the lie and its consequences." He takes Siblin's hand. "My wife made a serious mistake. She's been living a lie for years. But today she found the courage to come clean, to tell the truth, knowing it will ruin her reputation, perhaps some friendships. It takes courage." The guests are silent, mulling over his words. Some still look angry, but many nod, agreeing with Willem. "I'm not asking you to forgive Siblin right away," he continues. "But I am asking you to give her a chance to make amends, to show that she is truly sorry and wants a fresh start." He turns to Eleanor Pritchett. "As for the scholarship, Mrs. Pritchett, Siblin and I will reimburse the funds out of our own pockets, and will continue to support the Sunnyside Orphanage, only now with honesty and no false stories." Eleanor hums, but nods, accepting his proposal. The tension in the hall subsides a little. Not all is forgiven, not all is forgotten, but the most acute phase of the conflict seems to be over. I stand watching all of this with mixed feelings. On the one hand, I got what I wanted, the truth. Siblin has admitted her lies, told everyone that I never abandoned her, that I was a good father. On the other hand, seeing her reputation crumble before my eyes as she stood in front of an angry mob, humiliated and ashamed, was painful. No matter what, she's still my daughter. Tibby, as if reading my thoughts, whispers, "Don't worry about her, Irwin. Siblin is strong. She'll get through this. This will be a lesson to her." I nod, though I'm not sure the lesson isn't too harsh. 28 years of lying doesn't go unchallenged. A reputation built on fiction crumbles overnight. Siblin will have to start over, build new relationships with people based on the truth. It won't be easy. Rhoda and Jasper stand beside their mother, supporting her. I see them look over at each other, Rhoda squeezing her brother's hand. They too are in shock, too digesting the news that their mother has been lying about her past for years, about how their grandfather, whom they barely know, never actually abandoned their mother, never was the monster she described. Suddenly, Rhoda steps away from her parents and heads toward me. Her face is serious, but there is no judgment in her eyes, just curiosity and something akin to hope. "Grandfather," she says, stopping in front of me, I'd like to get to know you better, to hear the real story of our family." I look at her, this young woman with Miriam's eyes, her same determined chin, and my heart sinks with tenderness and regret for all the lost years. "Of course, Rhoda," I answered. "I'll tell you anything you want to know." She smiles, and in that smile I see echoes of my wife, my daughter in her youth, before bitterness and lies changed her. "Maybe you'll come to our house for dinner next Sunday?" Rhoda asks. "I live apart from my parents, in a small apartment on Maple Street. It's nothing fancy, but there's plenty of room." "I'd love to," I answered, feeling a warmth rise in my chest. Maybe all is not lost. Maybe something new, something real will grow out of the ruins of this day. Meanwhile, the guests begin to disperse. The festivities are obviously over. Many approach Siblin and Willem with sympathetic or, conversely, angry words. Some cast curious glances at me, but no one approaches. They don't know what to say to a man they've thought for years was a monster who abandoned his daughter, and now they've learned the truth. I don't blame them. The situation is awkward for everyone. It's easier to pretend I'm not here, that I can't hear their whispers, can't see their stares. Tibby tugs on my sleeve. Come on, Irwin. There's nothing more for us to do here. I nod and turn to leave, but then I hear a voice. Mr. Hathaway, wait. I turn around. Willem is coming toward me, his face red with excitement. Mr. Hathaway, he said, stopping in front of me. I wanted to apologize. I look at him in surprise. What would he have to apologize for? He's been deceived too, just like everyone else. All these years, Willem continues, I believed Siblin, believed that you had abandoned her, that you were not the best father. I didn't even try to get your side of the story. I just took what my wife said on faith. He seems genuinely upset, and I can't help but feel sympathy for the man. He loves my daughter despite her lies, despite everything that happened today. It's not your fault, Willem, I say. You trusted your wife. It's only natural. Still, he insists. I should have at least tried to find out the truth, especially when the kids started asking about their grandfather. I just kept telling them what Siblin said. He's holding out his hand to me. I hope you can forgive me. And I hope that now that the truth is out, we can, make things right. For the children's sake, if not for our own. I shake his hand, feeling a sudden respect for the man. He could blame me for ruining his holiday, his family's happiness. Instead, he holds out an olive branch. Of course, Willem. I'd be delighted. He nods and is about to add something, but Siblin walks up to us. Her eyes are red from crying, her makeup smeared. She looks exhausted, broken. Willem, she says quietly, we have to go. There's nothing more to do here. She casts a quick glance at me, but immediately averts her eyes. They're a mixture of shame, anger, and something else I can't quite make out. Regret? Relief? Siblin, I say, taking a step toward her. I know today has been a hard day, but maybe now that the truth is known, we could… No, she interrupts sharply. No, Dad, not now. Maybe never. Her voice sounds cold, but I can see her hands trembling, the way she bites her lip, holding back her emotions. You ruined my reputation, she continues. Made me look like a liar in front of the whole town. Made me lose face in front of my children, my friends, my husband. You did this to yourself, Siblin, I answer quietly. With your lies. I just wanted the truth. The truth, she chuckles bitterly. You've always been obsessed with the truth, Dad, even if it doesn't serve anyone, even if it hurts. She takes Willem under her arm. Come on, darling, the children are waiting. And they walk away, leaving me standing with a sense of incompleteness, with the bitter taste of a victory that didn't bring the satisfaction I expected. Tibby comes over and puts her arm around my shoulders. Give her time, Irwin. Today has been a hard day for everyone. I nod, though doubt gnaws inside. Will Siblin give me a second chance? Will she forgive me for exposing her lies, even if those lies were about my own life? Or will this truth be the final nail in the coffin of our relationship? Tibby and I leave the community center and walk slowly through the deserted streets of Henlopen Acres. The evening is warm. The air smells of jasmine and the sea. The city lives its ordinary life, unaware that for Siblin and I, this day has changed everything. What are you thinking about? Tibby asks as we approach her house. About the past, I answer. About the future. About how the truth doesn't always bring relief like we hope. Tibby nods with understanding. The truth is just the beginning, Irwin. Now you have to learn to live with it. All of you, Siblin, her children, Willem, I walk Tibby to the door and say goodbye to her. Then I continue to my house, to the quiet, empty room where the picture with Miriam still hangs on the wall. I tell her about today, the way I tell her about everything important. She would understand. She's always understood. My thoughts return to Rhoda and her invitation to dinner. A small ray of light on this dark day. Perhaps not all is lost. Perhaps something new can be built from the ruins of the old lies, not perfect, not cloudless, but real. And Siblin, time will tell. I haven't given up hope that one day she will be able to not only recognize the truth in front of others, but to accept it herself. Accept her past, her roots, her father as he is, not as she would like him to be. For now, I will move on with my life, day by day, with the truth finally coming out, even if the cost was higher than I expected.